Welcome, everybody attending the Denver Gold Show, the Denver Gold Forum. My name's Kerry Smith. I'm one of the analysts that actually covers Osisko Mining, so I'm very pleased and delighted to introduce Mathieu Savard, the president of Osisko Mining. And Mathieu is a very accomplished and engineer with a long background in the industry. So I'll just let Mathieu go into it. The company had some really astounding drill results today on Golden Bear, which is a new discovery just north, about a kilometer north of Windfall. So I know Matthew's going to talk about that, but I'll let Mathieu just go ahead and go through the presentation. And if there's time at the end, we'd certainly welcome any questions that anybody online might have. So Mathieu, go ahead, please.
Thanks, Kerry, and good morning or good afternoon, everyone, virtually or attending in person at the Denver Gold Show. So we're really happy to present you this update today, especially in the light of our recent press release of this morning, following up on the recent Golden Bear discovery. So I'll be talking a lot about the development of the world-class Windfall gold deposit, where we're going with that, and but also on the recent discovery, as Kerry mentioned. So I'll be doing forward-looking statement. And I guess cautionary statement. So few words about the PEA we released in April of this year. Was quite robust case assessment for developing the Windfall deposit as an underground dual ramp access. And one of the reasons for that, I guess it showed by itself on those pictures, some spectacular high-grade gold intersect. We've been feeding the market almost all year long with those type of results. Just a few words about the last resource update we did, which the PEA was relying on. It was based on the drilling complete as of September of 2020. So the overall resource base was 6.1 million ounces, grading 8.5 grams per ton gold. If we go back a bit in time, when Osisko acquired the project back in 2015, we almost quadrupled the size of the deposit in terms of ounces. And the reason for that is the discovery of the Lynx zone. Lynx now stand at 3.6 million ounces, graded more than 10 grams, and represent more than 60% of the deposit. In terms of M&I, we got we were standing back of when we did the resource update at 1.9 million ounces, grading 9.6 gram. For the year-end, we'll do an update in the mineral resource, where we expect to be north of 3 million ounces at a grade close to 10 grams. So these are our expectations. Why 3 million ounces? I guess our objective is to get that's going to support the fees. And as a production profile, we aim at being a producer of 300,000 ounces a year for 10 years. So that should be the what we're going to end up having in the feasibility study. So going back to the PEA, we were quite conservative. We used $1,500 US per ounce gold price. That gave us IRR after tax of 39% and an NPV of 1.5 billion. If we would use the spot price $1,800, IRR will go up to 55% IRR after tax, and NPV would go north of $2.5 billion. So it's quite robust. In terms of CapEx, we expect the CapEx to stay in the same ballpark at 550 million. We do work on the power line, so expect an update before year-end on the power line. Again, I did mention that the PEA average first 5-year of production, 300,000 ounces, and that's our objective there for the fees as well for the first 10 years. In terms of all-in sustainable costs, we had 610. We do expect to have the same ballpark for the feasibility as well. And total unit operating costs, we had $122. Some analysts thought it was low, but the reason for that is because we were developing directly in ore, reducing the development and the mining costs as well. So the PEA envisioned the startup of the production in 2024 and with full production in 2025. And we do expect, once we'll enter into production, to have a significant stockpile at surface given the fact that we already have underground development, 9 kilometers of underground development. The actual ramp goes down to 580 meters. So those are pretty nice catalysts. Now on that slide, you can see the footprint of the deposit. Again, it was reflecting the drilling performed as of September of 2020. For the feasibility to come and the resource update to come by year end, we do expect to have almost 400,000 meters in addition that will feed on to the fees, but that will bring us to our objective of 3 million ounces of measured and indicated. More to it, when you look at that, most of the resource outlined there is enclosed within the first 1,200 meters. And we already know, given the super long hole we did 2 years ago, that we identify mineralized zone down to 2.6 kilometers. So it gives you a perspective about the footprint of the deposit and a perspective over the life of mine, the potential life of mine of that world-class deposit. Few words about the bulk sample we've been completing. So we did complete a bulk sample in zone 27, 126% reconciliation. A second one we did in lengths area, 189% of reconciliation. And the ramp is advancing toward the third bulk sample in the triple lengths area. The ramp, as I mentioned, is already 580 meters vertical, and the bulk sample location is at 600 meters. So we do expect to reach the third bulk sample by year end. And you can see on that slide the tremendous potential, upside potential of the deposit. You see in green those areas that we just spoke a few holes there just to test the plunge of the mineralization. So the continuity is demonstrated already. We didn't backfill it yet because there's no point of doing it now. We'll do it on a yearly basis once in production. So if we look at the other slide, one of my favorite actually. So that few words about the Golden Bear. So you can see the footprint of the Windfall deposit in red. That is located on the footwall of the bank fault right here. So what we did try over the years was exactly to do that, to test regional targets. Unfortunately, we were so successful in exploring Windfall itself that we always have to retrieve back the drill rigs to put them back on the deposit. A good example of that was when we discovered triple lengths. It was back in July of 2019. So we retrieved all the drills there up to a point where in the last resource we had in a range of 1.5 million ounces there. So, and it's still growing. So that was one of the reasons why we didn't do too much work on the regional. But as we complete the infill drilling program that will come to an end in a couple of months from now, we'll slowly but surely transit some of the drill rigs in the Golden Bear. So Golden Bear is located on a splay less than 1 kilometer north of Windfall. The first hole we poke in it returned 28 grams over 6.7 meter and displayed some similar alteration and mineralization than the one we outlined in Windfall. And one of the things that was quite interesting is this splay is 4 kilometers long. So we were quite happy with it. Since we discovered it, we had a few rigs to a point where we have 3 rigs today. And we'll continue to add more as we test that gold-bearing corridor. So this morning press release, as you can see, outlined quite significant gold intersects, 62 grams over 2 meters, 67 over 2, 38.7 over 2.2. So we were able to outline some mineralization, or in particular D1 over 170 meters laterally. And basically we do have 3 different mineralized zones now, but that's only the beginning, since we released 16 holes and 3 of them were gold bearing significant assays. So we're really happy about this one, and we'll continue to add more hole as we do expand towards up plunge and down plunge since it is open. So expect us to, actually we're going to perform, we announced it this morning, we're going to perform a 50,000 meter drill program on this one with the cash we have in hand. So if we go back to the production profile of what envisioned the Windfall PA, if we remove the open pit deposit, Windfall will sit probably in the top 3 best producing asset in both US and Canada. On this one, you can see the actual layout of the underground infrastructure. As I mentioned, 9 kilometers of underground development. And as I walk you through the life of mining schedule, you can see that, of course, the first couple of years of production will heavily rely on links. The reason for that is because link is higher grade and the ramp is already there. So we expect to reach full production by year 6, producing 328,000 ounces of gold. And at that point, we'll start advancing the other portion of the deposit, which is main and underdog. So it's almost like having 2 separate mines, one ramp per mine. So as the development advances, we start getting deeper. Keep in mind that mining schedule will evolve as we advancing towards the finding of the feasibility. But we do expect the fees to rely heavily on links for the first 5 years for sure. In terms of process flow sheet, it's quite simple. It's the typical grinding circuit followed by gravity circuit and then CIL. The PA study was using 94.6% recovery. And giving we believe we were quite conservative since in the second bulk sample that we did in links, we did recover 97%, including 66% from the gravity circuit. The guy running the mill where we treated the bulk was telling us that adding a third gravity trap would have probably bring the gravity recovery to up to 90%, which is exceptional when you consider that usually when you get 30% of gravity recovery, it's considered excellent. So a few words about the surface infrastructure. You can see on this the preliminary mine layout. So the most of the concern was to limit the actual footprint with respect to an environmental perspective. If you look on that second slide, it's roughly the same slide, but we did put the footprint, the surface projection of all the mineralization, just to show you the same concern, trying to having a pretty tight layout, but more so considering, we want to keep options open. So let's say that, if we ever decide to sink a shaft in year 7 or year 12, we'll have the possibility to do so since most of the infrastructure will sit right on top of the deposit. So, of course, we've been having that huge drilling program. We assume that will be between 1.5 and 1.6 million meters once we'll release the fees. But we'll be having that question often. So where are you going to stop drilling? So the answer, the real answer is in a couple of months from now. But the answer should be never, because every time Osisko drill 1 meter, we did generate more than 5 ounces of gold, and we did that at a quite efficient cost, $38 per US per ounces, when the world average is $62 per ounce, and in Canada, where we operate, it's $81 US per ounces. So again, we've been quite successful in developing ounces at a cheap price. The deposit, as I already mentioned, is open in all directions, but now we're starting to see new mineralization on the regional side. And on the regional side, as we mentioned before, we barely touch most of the structure that we can see on the regional mag. So again, in summary, Windfall is a world-class deposit in scale and grade and continues to grow. Keep delivering expectation and over. We'll release a resource update by year end, and we do expect to have north of 3 million ounces in M&I. We'll continue to advance the bulk sample as the ramp also continue to advance. We do conduct test stoping as well. In terms of catalysts, I mentioned it, we'll give a power line update before year end. We'll complete the infill drill program in a couple of months from now. which will feed into the mineral resource update by year-end, and expect the feasibility out first half of next year. We'll continue, as I mentioned, both bulk sample and test stope. That one is particularly exciting, the 50,000 meter of drilling at Golden Bear. It's just the beginning, so I refer back to the press release we did today. We're quite excited about it, and we're well financed, so we don't plan to go to the market to drill at Golden Bear, for example, since we still receive a tax credit, because we're, to remind everyone that Windfall is located in one of the best mining jurisdiction in the world, which is Quebec, northern Quebec. So that covers most of the presentation for today. So I don't know if Kerry, you have any questions?
Perfect. Thank you very much, Matthew. And I apologize. I had erroneously said that Matthew is an engineer, and I know he's a geologist, so I apologize for that. I know he's got a lot of experience in the activity. So maybe the first question I could ask, Matthew, just for the listeners, how long do you think it will take to complete the 50,000 meter program at Golden Bear?
Well, I mean, it will be a function of the amount of rigs we'll put there. So we have 3 right now. And as I mentioned, in a couple of months from now, we'll reduce the infill program. So we'll shuffle a few rigs directly to Golden Bear. So expect an acceleration before year-end. And I guess I would say between 3 and 6 months, depending on the amount of rigs.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I mean, once the infill program is finished at the end of October, you can obviously dedicate some of those rigs to Golden Bear as well. And Matthew, I know you've got a lot of regional targets. Golden Bear was only one of them, and I don't think it was actually the number one priority target, but it's turned out to be a pretty exciting target. Can you talk a little bit about the priority that you might have for some of those other regional targets, just to give people a sense for, the thinking today in terms of which other targets you'll want to look at over the course of the next, couple of years outside of Golden Bear?
So it's a pretty good question, Kerry. I don't know if I can, if the slide is still available for the viewers, but as you can see, there's a lot of additional structures running parallel to the one hosting Golden Bear. So we're quite focused. So we're not going to spend too much time for now, because we're going to focus on, identifying and following up on Golden Bear. But over the years, of course, we'll, as you can see on that map, there's different structure cross-cutting those high-mic features on north of Golden Bear, but also on the west portion that have been poorly tested over the years. So it tells you a lot about the tremendous potential of the district. And again, where's the best place to find a deposit? Last time I checked was just next to an existing one.
And I know Quebec's relatively straightforward on the permitting side, but perhaps you could just give the listeners a sense for what your current thoughts are on timing for the permits.
So I guess it goes back to what PEA was envisioning. So started production in end of 2024. So if you go back, we do expect permitting to be probably to take a year following the feasibility filing. So somewhere at the end of 2023 should be reasonable, to expect permitting.
Okay, and then obviously 18 months construction, something in that range.
Yeah, 12, 18 months, depending on our efficiency and the way we'll approach that. If you go back with Canadian Malartic, we did everything in, I believe it was 11 months.
And you're in a unique position from my perspective, certainly as an underground development project, because you will have a lot of development done by the time you actually get to the point of making a construction decision, and B, getting the construction completed. Typically, underground development would be the critical path, but in your case, that won't be the case, which I think is a huge asset for you guys as you move this project along, Matthew.
Yeah, we believe that could reduce the risk in around to the ramp up, since we'll having already a ramp. Once you got full permit, you could basically start stockpiling at surface during the construction time. So that should offset a lot of risk regarding the ramp up.
Right, right. Okay, that's great. I don't see any questions online, Matthew. So I think we're pretty much out of time. I think we've covered it pretty well. If there's any final comments you want to wrap up with, otherwise we can sign off here.
No, thanks, Gary. And there's nothing wrong about being an engineer, but I definitely am a geo. And stay tuned on Golden Bear, because we are really excited about that new discovery out there.
That's great. Thank you very much, Matthew. We appreciate it, and good luck with the drilling on Golden Bear.
Thanks, Gary.